Oops.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Sizzling, powered by Fit to be Trained, coming to you from the Deep End Broadcasting Network studios in the lovely Virginia Beach, Virginia, United States of America. You can find this program on deependbroadcasting.com and subscribe to this network's YouTube channel, Deep End Broadcasting. I also have a YouTube channel, which is Fit to be Trained. You can find us, and you can find us all over the web. Instagram, Fit to be Trained.
Google Fit to be Trained, and you'll pop up on Instagram, on
I know, I think
YouTube,
so.
on Facebook.
I mean, I'm learning how to connect all these things, but it takes me a hot minute.
All the blackmail pictures from when you're 23.
Yeah, right. Thank God there was no pictures from then. I'm so grateful. I feel sorry for the young people. And I know that makes it sound like I was so awful, but I wasn't. But I did have a really good time.
Oh, do you know what they're doing? Do you know what they're doing to the kids now? I saw this morning.
What?
So it's called the sextortion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And basically, you know, they'll pretend to be like a little girl or something like that, or a guy or a young kid, and they'll coerce the other party into sending them naked pictures, and then they blackmail the kid. You know, give me $1,000 or we're going to send this to all your friends or whatever. But now they're not. They took it one step further. Now with the AI, they just make you up as a nude person. And blackmail you that way.
I was just
like, what the hell are these people thinking?
I know, right? It's funny because I don't watch the news, and I flashed on the news for a second, and yes, they were talking about that. And well, I think the good news about that is nothing is real anymore. Nothing. So if you see stuff like that, you're just going to say it's AI. I mean, I'm not saying it's okay, because obviously when I heard it, I thought, God, that would just be so terrible. I'm past the point where anybody's going to do that with me. But
what a dangerous slope to be walking on. Like, seriously.
It is. It's so.
I think until, like you said, everyone just, okay, it's second nature. It's AI at this point.
Yeah.
Until that's the norm, like having a cell phone.
And this is another subject too, where like porn is the norm now. Remember, like I always joke around, I'm 58 years old. In order for you to see a boobie, you had to hunt down a National Geographic or go to a men's barbershop. That way I used to sneak with my dad to the men's barbershop because then I could see a boobie. That's the only way. Like all in and out of body shops, you'd see posters, but nudity was not something that was easy to come by when I was a little girl. And now it's second nature so much that I think the kids are very desensitized by it. So we freak out, and this is deserving to freak out. Like, I'm not trying to downgrade it, but that's kind of what I thought, when I saw that. I was like, well, I guess nothing's real anymore. And it's not. You won't be able to believe anything. I do have to backtrack a little bit. I never said who I was. My name is Karen Doherty, and I'm with my buddy Steve, and woohoo! I know, I love that. I like the church one too. I like that one when it goes, I do. I like that.
It's springtime.
It is. Thank you for thinking like that. You're right.
Except we're getting killed by the allergies.
Well, I know. I did want to say, like, sometimes when I'm teaching classes right now, I'm like, breathe in through your nose if you can. Because right now, everybody's kind of mouth breathing, including myself. You can hear I sound kind of nasally. I mean, come on. The puddles are yellow, and my car is yellow, and it's a black car. So, yeah, it's pretty bad right now. But I think that's pretty much all over the country, and we can't really complain because we begged for spring. This is what happens when we get spring in Virginia, because it's so beautiful here. You got to go through all that pollen in order to see all those flowers and beautiful.
So, like, let me ask you this as a trainer. When you tell your athletes, like, how to breathe and stuff like that,
all the time,
do you suggest inhaling through your nose and exhaling through the mouth?
Great question. Okay.
Because
there's 2 ways to breathe, and I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's an art.
Okay, so like we breathe in the gym, which is just breathe, right? And in the gym, when you and I are together, they want us to exhale on the exertion. I know that because that's how I passed my test. I thought, you know, how you play games with how to remember things. X on the exertion. Okay, so in yoga, you're going to breathe on every movement. And they tend to breathe through the nose and through the nose if they can. They don't do any mouth breathing. But something I do want you to know that when you sigh, because I open my classes with sighs and I definitely close them with sighs, that tells your nervous system to chill out. It's just, you know, the mechanics of our great body that God made. When you sigh, that sends signals to your brain and your nervous system. Now, in Pilates, which we're going to talk about today, I'm kind of excited about it. I'm a Pilates trainer, and we decided we were going to do, you know, anything fitness on this podcast. And I was going to try and escape and not talk about myself very much. But we're getting ready to have some guests on, but we don't have one this week, and we didn't have one last week. And I thought, okay, I might as well get myself in there. So, and Pilates is really, really important to me. It really is, just as much as CrossFit. I love CrossFit. CrossFit is my hobby. It's not my craft. I don't coach it. I just go in as a student there. I do coach Pilates, and I take it pretty serious. I'm a Pilates mat trainer, and I own a reformer, and I've had a lot of schooling. But let's get back to the breathing. Pilates breathing is in through your nose, and if you had a rubber band around your rib cage, you would inhale into the ribs. Sorry, my nose.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra breathing on.
Sorry, that's so gross. I won't do that. I'll spare you. But you'd inhale and the band would expand around your rib cage, right?
Yeah.
And then when you exhale like you're blowing out a candle. And what happens?
Through the mouth.
Yes, through the mouth.
So inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Okay.
And I won't do that.
I got something to say about all.
Well, what happens mechanically in the body, the reason why you do that is where the lungs, they're in the rib cage. So when you inhale fully, the rib cage expands if you're inhaling to your fullest capacity, right? You can bring it into the diaphragm as well. One of Pilates' biggest clients was Beverly Sills. She was an opera singer back in the day for our parents, Steve. So I don't know if you remember her, but she did do a lot of sports, you know, God Bless America, and obviously the opening, you know, she back in the day, back in the 60s, because she was an opera singer, she really needed a lot of air and breath, right? So she went to Pilates to train, and Pilates was stationed in Norfolk, in New York at that time. He came here in the 20s. But I'm going to backtrack even just a hot second back to the breath. When you exhale like you're blowing out a candle, your abdominals engage. You will notice all the way down to your pelvic floor. So there's a lot going on in the abdominals. There's the pelvic floor, there's the abdominals behind the belly button, and then there's the abdominals that are underneath the rib cage. It's a big wall, the abdominal wall. It's huge, right? So I always tell people, pull your stomach in 3 times. That'll help you get that entire muscle group in. And when you exhale fully, like you're blowing out a candle, you'll notice that your abs engage. Also, what Pilates did was quick breathing. So I'm going to move away from the mic, so maybe you'll be able to hear me better, but you'd inhale through your nose quickly, exhale which gives you a lot of power and strength in the abdominals. So
Pilates, I feel it.
I know it's really cool. Pilates has its own breathing. It's very cool. I mean, there's no one that I've ever taught it to that wasn't like, wow, this is really cool, especially anyone that was ever in athletics. I got into it because my back hurt. I didn't get into Pilates because it was trendy or anything like that. It wasn't even popular at the time. I was desperate. I was 30 years old. My back hurt and I had a lot of life to live in sports, and I didn't want to have a hurt back. So I went to yoga. I even am certified in yoga and I believe in yoga, but it didn't help my back because my issue was core strength. And we've talked about that in other podcasts, how you can look fantastic and look really strong and not have very good core strength. I know this because I was that person. You can power through moves and not have your glutes firing. I know that because I am that person. So through my years and I even had the pleasure of working in physical therapy for 5-6 years. I got to learn so much, obviously, about the mechanics of the body. And the physical therapists are the ones that sent me to school for Pilates Reformer. I went in Richmond, and it's a rather intense study. I can't even tell you how many hours. I can tell you a lot. And it took a couple of years, and it's tough. I've had several anatomy and phys classes, but this form of exercise really digs into your anatomy and physiology like no other. So, you'll hear people say, like, why is Pilates so expensive? Well, the education is very intense. Pardon me, I'm going to cough for a second. The education is hugely intense and the equipment is expensive. I work out of my garage and I've dolled it up to a she shed. It's super cute, but it's a garage. And I have a reformer and I'm mat trained. I don't have a lot of the other equipment, so I can bring the price down a little bit, but I can't underdog my other peers in the industry too much, but I can afford, if they buy a certain amount, to get them down to a pretty reasonable price, because unfortunately Pilates can be very expensive, but that is why. And when I say very expensive, let me say it's single session $75. But I also know CrossFit trainers that are getting that too. So I mean, fitness training can be pricey, but like we talked about last week, if you buy it in packages, I sell packages, that way my price can come down. And I want my clients twice a week, preferably. And you can do virtual stuff nowadays. So there's ways. I don't want to shy people away, by saying, fitness is costly. There is ways to do it, especially now with all these platforms. But I'm going to try and whiz through. I got a whole bunch of notes again this week. You know me, how I get overrun with these. And I'm going to try and fly through this stuff. Pilates has been around for a long, long time. And Pilates is named after Joseph Pilates. He was a German physical trainer and inventor, best known for developing the Pilates method of exercise, which is really called controlology. And here, Steve, I gave you some papers.
Nice.
He overcame he was born in Germany in 1883, and he overcame a sickly childhood marked by asthma, rheumatic fever, and through his dedication in physical fitness, his method, originally called controlology, emphasized control movements, breath work, core strength. Now, during the during World War I, Pilates was interned in England and then later went to Germany. There's a lot of speculation about what went on with Pilates in those years in World War I, because, I've heard he was in a prisoner of war camp. I heard he was just a physical trainer. There's all types of stories, and I can't really confirm what is exactly correct. But the interesting part about it is he was basically a physical trainer, which is kind of a physical therapist back then, and used the bed springs on the cots to help the soldiers and get them back in shape, using the springs as weight bearing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So the Reformer is, I wish I would have bought you a picture of the Reformer to flash on the screen, but it's, you know, a low setting, almost like a bed, a narrow bed, and you push against a foot bar and your springs are your weight. And if you've ever seen the Total Gym, that's not, I shouldn't
It's
have
not
said
too
that.
far off.
It's not too far off. I shouldn't have said that though, because it's not used for springs as weight bearing, but they do a lot of the same exercises. And I feel like it was kind of modeled after the Pilates Reformer. But it's interesting because if you see this, after the war, he moved to New York City in 1926. And I was thinking about that. I was like, that's literally 100 years ago. You know it? Because we're in 2025.
Yep.
Where he opened a studio and gained recognition among dancers and athletes for his innovative approach to fitness. So he was very popular from the start. He worked in this rickety, rackety building. That's why when I have my garage gym that I have dolled up as cute as it can be, I never feel weird because Pilates, the originator of controlology, did not have a fancy gym. And some of our best athletes have come out of garage, very little, what am I trying to say? The amenities, you know, you're just in there to get a good workout. But I have a picture of Pilates gym hanging in my gym because they look similar.
I remembered the word we forgot last week.
What was it?
About your peers as your colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were looking for, right?
I do. I remember that. Yes, colleagues is. And speaking of colleagues, I want to try and reach out and get some guests on here so you guys don't have to just listen to me drone on. And I'm going to try and start as soon as next week. But I thought this was a good time for me to get in my little share of who I am, and maybe I can weasel some information out of my pal Steve so he can tell us who he is. And but I wanted to go over some. I love it when you do that stuff. It makes it so fun. I wanted to go over some frequently asked questions about Pilates. And granted, I printed out the computer's version, and I'm going to go ahead and probably spiel off into my own. Just use this as a guide. But Pilates is so popular right now. 100 years later, I mean, we've got studios that have 10 reformers lined up, and gals are going in there and in these boutique fitness places, and 10 reformers at a time working out together with a trainer, which I commend. I think it's wonderful. My colleagues,
have you thought about doing that?
No,
getting a small place.
I can't, because I'm going to touch in on that, and I don't want to get any haters, and I don't mean any disrespect for this. I think when you get in, there's a difference between a Pilates trainer that works in on her own, like myself, and I'm teaching what's called classical contemporary Pilates. And I mean that classical / contemporary. There are trainers that teach classical, and that's like from the original work that Joseph put together. And there is stipulation on that because there was Ramona, I'm not saying her name correctly. She was a ballet dancer that took over the business when Pilates passed away, when Joseph passed away, and his wife sold it to Ramona, and she took over because she was one of Pilates' best students. But she changed things a bit because she was a dancer. So she was a ballet dancer. He was very popular with the dance world. It was 1926. A lot of people didn't really need to exercise. If you think about it, life was pretty hard. So he was getting a lot of the dancers, entertainers, and athletes because it was a unique form of exercise, and it really works, y'all. It really, really works. But I need to say something about the boutique place, I guess mine would be considered a more boutique place where like Club Pilates, they have many reformers and they're doing workouts with a reformer. So there's a difference between doing true Pilates, and yes, they are doing Pilates moves, but it takes many years to be taught the classical / contemporary Pilates. I was taught a more contemporary version through Marathu and Stott because I was in the medical field and physical therapy. The difference between the two, I kind of don't want to get into too much boring stuff with you guys online, but pelvic tilt and neutral spine. Neutral spine is when your spine is just in neutral. And so in the physical therapy world, they want us to work in a neutral spine and learn how to strengthen because that's how our spine is. In classical Pilates, you're going to tuck your tailbone under and have more of a tucked abdominal engagement. So they're both good. I've done both and I've been trained in both and I've been educated in both. More contemporary, it's hard to get the classical education because the classical education, I always tease, is more like culture where it's passed down because Pilates was not the best businessman. He was a trainer. Most of us are trainers. We're not the best businessmen or women or marketers, which is why like all this online stuff that I have to do is a struggle. My favorite part is in the gym with a client or on the reformer with a client where I'm doing my craft. And that's what he was good at. And he made his living on, one-on-one clients. He didn't have online. It's funny because there was a video out made, I think it was AI made actually, of Pilates today and what it would be like. And so some trainers or instructors, Pilates instructors or whatever you want to call them, there's a little pushback with the new world of Pilates and how simple they've made it and working out with a reformer. And remember, all this stuff is opinion. Anything in fitness is opinion, almost to medical, the same. You're paying for educated opinions. This is my opinion. I think Pilates would be really happy that everybody was using these reformers the way they are, even if they weren't perfectly doing it exactly like he taught. Now, he was a perfectionist. Would he have gotten a little bit butthurt over it? Maybe, but I think he would have seen how, oh my goodness, 100 years later, it's ironic how it took so long to really come to fruition. And he's been gone for a long time. I want to say the 70s, but I started taking Pilates in the 90s to get over this injury. And like I said, it wasn't trendy. My trainer was a great ballet dancer. A lot of ballet dancers are the master trainers. That's where you can get some classical Pilates training. So I've been trained, passed down from some of the great ballet dancers of our world, not necessarily the ones but great ones. You know what I'm saying? There's great athletes that weren't totally, famous.
Right.
But so I feel so confident in my training. And also I was recently trained by Stott and Marathu, which was about 6-7 years ago now, in the reformer. Specifically, I took it took me almost 2 years to do, maybe not 2 year, year and a half, or whatever. It's a long program, and many hours and many practice and much anatomy, like no other training experience I ever did. So I feel so confident because of that training in all kinds of training now, because I really know the anatomy. It really teaches you the mechanics of the body. So how is Pilates different from yoga? Pilates and yoga are both done on a mat. So when you're not on the Pilates equipment, you're on a mat, and they're similar looking. So everybody thinks Pilates and yoga are the same, and they're the furthest from the same you can imagine. In fact, I have two really great yoga instructors on my roster that come to my place to learn Pilates Reformer. It's completely different, and I want to try and get them in mat classes, because do we share some of the exercises with yoga? Yes, but completely different exercises. Completely. Yoga's Pilates mat is done mostly on the mat, lying down, where yoga can be standing and all over the place. And yoga has about 500 plus postures. That's a lot. Pilates has 42. So when you're doing a mat class, and none of us get all 42 in, because you'd have to be advanced to be able to get all 42 in. And most of us are beginner. You stay a beginner for about 3 sessions, because that's when you're learning pelvic floor, the breathing, the alignment, everything about is alignment and posture. So you're learning those fundamentals, and then you move to intermediate, and I've never left intermediate. And to be honest with you, I prefer fundamentals, like beginning Pilates, because it never gets easy. It's kind of like our Olympic lifts at CrossFit when we're working with the Olympic bar. I mean, you get better and better, but you're always trying to keep it challenging because you're adding weight on. You know what I mean? So you get your form down, but so it is very, very different than yoga. And Pilates, again, has a bunch of equipment that if you go to a studio, you're going to be using equipment called the Cadillac, the Wounded Chair, the Reformer, obviously barrels and small props. And just a fun fact, one of my favorite things about Pilates is he smoked cigars and he liked to drink. And I relate to that. So I don't drink alcohol anymore. I know. I relate to that. I don't drink anymore, but a lot of times I drink kombucha when I'm working, and I always joke, I'm like, I'm bringing Pilates back, because he would be smoking a cigar. Like back then, remember, we were smoking cigarettes back in the day. He was back way back in the day when you were smoking a cigar in the gym. But fun fact, the magic circle, which you see all the time, and actually my picture on the front of this podcast, I'm holding a magic circle. Those are the rings off his whiskey barrels. So he would get his whiskey, pull the metal rings off the barrel, and use it as resistance. So he was super innovative and super just ahead of his time. Okay, so I'll go back. Do you need special equipment like a reformer to do Pilates? No, you don't, because there is Mat Pilates, and there's plenty of classes that you can join in anywhere. You can even go to community centers now and get involved in a mat class. I do want people to know, a lot of people just don't realize this, that the mat class comes last. You really technically are supposed to be on the equipment and the reformer and the Cadillac and that kind of stuff to learn the true essence of how to pull your abs in, how to engage your pelvic floor with the help of these apparatuses. And when you take those apparatuses away, it's a little bit harder and more strategic. You really have to use your own body strength. So people are like, oh, I can't do reformer. I'm not even good at mat. And they're always so surprised that I'm like, mat was actually after reformer. Reformer helps teach you stuff with the safety of the apparatus around you and the springs. But I don't want to shy people away from mat, because everybody's taken that into consideration and tone things down, that any level of fitness can take a mat class. Can Pilates help me lose weight? This is a great question. While Pilates is not primarily a cardiovascular exercise, it can contribute to weight loss when combined with healthy diet, regular aerobic activity. Pilates helps build lean muscle, which increases your metabolism. So Pilates is definitely a strength strength and mobility, a lot of mobility. I've gotten on my reformer again. I'm so excited because I was really struggling with time and I was going to the gym and not getting on my reformer. And I'm trying to balance both, but we all know balance in life can be a struggle. I think it's like when you finally learn balance, you die. It's kind of like enlightenment. You know what I mean? Once you reach enlightenment, it's over. Um, when you gain muscle on doing Pilates, that's what burns more calories throughout the day. Pilates definitely improves posture and body awareness, which can lead to better overall movement patterns and reduced risk of injury. That's another thing. I worked in physical therapy because what the therapists really like the Pilates Reformer and the Pilates theory and on the other apparatuses as well, because there's a lot of stability with those and it's great for injury. So somebody that's coming back from a shoulder replacement, knee replacement, hip, or say you didn't need to go that far. You didn't need the replacement. Like I just got out of physical therapy for my knee, didn't need surgery, but needed exercises. And the reformer is a great addition or a great way to safely bring a physical therapist clients back to the real world. So I worked for them and they would send me their patients. And I worked inside the office with 8 incredible physical therapists at Innovative Therapy here in Virginia Beach. I'm incredibly proud of that on my resume because there's some great physical therapists there. Additional benefits of Pilates. Oh, I skipped one. Can Pilates relieve stress? I won't stay too long on that. Anything can, any kind of exercise can relieve stress. I'll say the thing about Pilates is you really have to stay in tune. You're not chit-chatting a whole lot when you're in a Pilates session. Well, you are if you're in a one-on-one, but you have to kind of really think about what you're doing. You're thinking about your Pilates core, the Pilates core. You're thinking about your pelvic floor is what I meant to say. And when I'm teaching a class, I have no time to talk about anything but what the clients are doing. I'm cueing them constantly. Engage your pelvic floor, inhale, exhale. So I'm constantly talking, but it's all about what's happening within their body. So I really think that, yes, Pilates is a great stress reliever because you can't think about what's stressing you out during that time that you're doing the practice. These are the benefits: posture and alignment. And I did a whole podcast on posture. I mean, that is my big deal because I think when we have good posture, it fixes a ton of aches and pains. And I just am fixing myself right now because I'm not sitting very well in this chair. And you know how I know? Because my mid back was kind of starting.
I could never sit in an office chair all day.
Well, this
will literally kill you.
I know. And it's just habit. Like I've been here for long enough that my back started to round out. So it improves posture and alignment, increased core strength and stability. So engaging that pelvic floor. So I hate to be crass, but it's like if you were peeing and I told you to stop. Everybody's got it, guys and girls. So it's not like Kegels, which is girls. Guys and girls have the pelvic floor. Enhanced flexibility and range of motion, balanced muscle development, improved coordination and balance for sure. Because we do standing work on the apparatus, and you can do standing work in a Pilates mat class. There's no rules anymore in anywhere. Improved coordination and balance, reduced risk or injury, increased body awareness and stress reduction and relaxation. So I slipped there when I said there's no rules anymore. I want to take that back because there's lots of cues that need to be adhered to in a Pilates session. So that's why I say that you're a beginner until you really get those simple fundamentals down. So I always joke, I make clients when they try my class out, I'm like, sign up for 3. Takes 3 times because the first night you're there, you're like, I don't know what the hell is going on here. You have no idea. I'm spewing out all this information. The second time you start to get it. And the third time you're really going, oh my God, I get this. I really like it. Or you're going to say, I hate this. I'm done. So I always tell a gal, and I have very rarely ever had anybody leave. I can't even think of ever once. They usually stick on and enjoy it until life takes over and something happens. But like I joked around last week, most of my clients are death do us part. Once we meet, we tend to stick it together for the long haul. Remember though, always consult a doctor before starting any new exercise program. Obviously, even Pilates, even though it's used in physical therapy, you could get hurt. You could have a bulging disc or something that's not conducive to something like this. So you need to talk to your professionals. Find a qualified Pilates instructor who can guide you through the proper form and technique. Listen to your body and modify the exercises needed, and be patient and consistent with your practice. Pilates is versatile, and it's adaptable fitness method that can benefit people of all ages and fitness levels. I personally think everybody should have to take it. I really do. I think it should be a requisite for life because it is so helpful. So that my timer went off about a minute ago. I don't know if you heard it. I babbled.
Oh, is that you? I thought that was my
I babbled through the entire
skipping around
35 minutes. I didn't even give you a chance to say anything. So I wanted to get me out of the way so I can feel comfortable with you guys knowing who I am as soon as we're going to open up to guests and invite a bunch of people to come. And I'm excited about that. I hope that people want to come on our show. And so I wanted to get my stuff out of the way. I wanted to talk to see if Steve would talk about himself on one of these podcasts coming up. Like I could even have Steve as my guest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can ask me anything.
Really? I would love to have. I punched out a bunch of questions, but I babbled so much I have run out of time, and I want to spend time on these subjects. I wanted to talk about rugby. I'll give you a heads up, and I'll give you this sheet. I wanted to talk about rugby and what makes it different from other team sports. And I wanted,
all right, yeah, that's a good one.
And I wanted to talk about how you prepare the players mentally for physical intensity, because rugby is a hardcore game. Actually, I'm dying.
Actually, I do have some thoughts on that.
I know. I'm dying to hear I wonder if you would be my first guest. I have lots of questions here. You might say yay or nay, but I would like to save it for a full show because I have 14 questions here.
And I can talk forever.
I know. I think it would be so fun. And I don't know. I don't know a lot about that part of your life. And I don't know a lot about rugby. Obviously, I was following Alana Meyer, who wasn't. Everybody was. I mean, I loved her. That was a huge girl crush during the games. The female rugby player.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Did I say her name right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just
It's Ihona or Ilona.
Yeah,
it's so pretty. It's a beautiful name, but I think I might have butchered it. But her face.
I'm bad with names.
I love her. I love her.
Yes, iconic moment in the Summer Olympics. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So, and about coaching team sports, I teach group fitness in Pilates classes, but coaching is way different. I go into a classroom setting, I talk the whole time. They don't say anything unless once in a while they have a question, and they might ask me something after they leave, and then that's it. It's like showtime, and then you're off. Where coaching, like I am with my personal training clients, that's a little different because I'm with them out of the session, but still not nearly the same as teaching or coaching a team. I think I have huge respect for coaches.
So let me talk about her just for a second.
Okay.
Because this is actually good insight. But the big thing in rugby, especially when I started to play back in the early 90s, was the fact that the U.S. was an emerging nation in rugby, not very good overall compared to the teams that are good in rugby around the world. Like New Zealand's a fantastic team. England, obviously, where the sport was bred. South Africa has a great team. And France has a great team. And France hosted the Summer Olympics last year. And the last time that the Americans won a medal in rugby happened to be in France in 1924.
Oh, wow.
So 100 years later,
I know, here we are.
She was able to break through and get the U.S. A medal. And for not only was that an iconic score, and if you're out there wondering what I'm talking about exactly in what she did, is if you watched, or if you didn't watch the game, YouTube it back. But it was the USA, and they were down. The USA last second bronze medal game. YouTube that, whatever it is. Last second victory for the US. Google it, YouTube it, you'll find it. And simply, she got the ball where it was kind of on the other team's goal line, and she broke a tackle and scooped it, broke a tackle, and ran about the length of the field.
I know,
for a score, and that's what it took for the U.S. to break through after 100 years.
Oh, I just got
of
chills.
A drought of rugby. Yeah, so
that run was such a beautiful thing to watch.
Beyond that moment of it being a fantastic moment in that regard, she literally broke through for the whole sport as a whole. That a lot of people don't know about after 100 years.
Bursting with pride. I don't even know the girl, but I was like, oh my God, it was just fantastic to watch. And it made us have our eyes on rugby. She really broke, like, her Instagram is, I mean, I was following her on Instagram. I think she's so tired. I haven't seen her Instagram in a while. I'll have to check in and see. I think she might be like not even posting these days. But anyway, I wanted to invite you to be a guest for my show, please. So all my people will know who you are, because you've got a great, that conversation just excited me so much. And I am really interested in hearing your theory in coaching too, because I've never tried to coach a sports team. That would be really something. So stay tuned, and I'm going to invite Steve to do a podcast. Yay. Thank you. I take that as a yes. Thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot on the air, but I'm so grateful.
Never.
Cool, man. Thank you so much. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and I'm loving doing this show, and keep tuning in. I think it's going to get more and more interesting. I'm feeling, getting more and more confident behind the microphone and asking, guests to come on, and that just took a little bit.
Oh, but you sound like you're a professional with your opens and everything.
Oh, well, thank you. But it wasn't in the beginning. It wasn't. It just takes time, like anything. I always tell people
trial by fire.
Right. When they're training with me, I'm like, prepare to suck. I mean, it's just okay to suck at things in the beginning, right? Excuse my mouth, but it's kind of true. If you were great at everything as soon as you did it, it wouldn't be any fun learning it. And so, yeah, prepare to suck and then get better and better and better at things. And that helps you grow. But with that, I will tell you all to have a wonderful, wonderful week. Tune in next week. This is Sizzling tuning out.
Have a good day.